This is a leadership concept rough sketch from Agovia Consulting. And why is it rough? Because we like to talk with you, but we don't want the perfect to become the enemy of the good. Today in our leadership concept, we'll be discussing the idea of risk management and misdirection. Or, to put it another way, you just got hoodwinked. But there is good news. Today we get to have some fun. We get to look at the wacky world of executive risky business. But before we go there, let's have a story. Let's go back 120 years to 1893 in Seattle, when Fred and Charles Ernst opened a hardware store. For 100 years, Ernst Hardware was a survivor. It was a Northwest institution. It was mid-size between mom and pop and the big boxes. By 1990, Ernst and Pay and Pack jointly owned the middle market of the hardware niche in the Seattle Northwest market. In 1992, Pay and Pack closed its last store. It went bankrupt, leaving Ernst as the sole owner of the mid-market. They had location, size, loyal customers, a perfect niche. What next? Do we develop a sure win? No, let's go into leveraged debt. Let's take on the big boxes, and woohoo! In 1997, we closed the last store because we're bankrupt. Ernst Hardware died due to executive high-risk behavior seasoned with hubris. Now, the sad thing about risk management as it's most often practiced is that most of the effort and money we actively spend to manage risk goes toward things that will never happen. If you think about it, what have we got? We have earthquake drills. We have 300-year mudslide drills. We have flu pandemic preparation. We have backup mainframe servers, RAID arrays, failovers galore. We have emails with Granny's recipes safely tucked away in the granite hills of Montana. Yet, little or no money or effort is spent on risk behaviors and factors that regularly cause businesses to close and cost us billions of dollars. Now, for class discussion. What type of risk presents the greatest actual danger? Is it A, event-driven risks, or B, risk behavior? Well, let's think of some examples here for just a few seconds. Event-driven risks. 9/11, Katrina, a few other hurricanes, they've closed businesses, but after that I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit. So I'm trying to think, but let's move over. How about behavior risks? How about Washington Mutual and the mortgage loan debacle? Mortgage-backed securities. How about AOL and their arrogance? How about the U.S. auto industry that couldn't figure out that you had to make a quality car? How about everyone that missed the digital revolution? Newspapers, Polaroid, the entire recording industry. How about Dell and their capacitor issues? Tell your customer service people to lie to your customers. How about the BP oil spill? The inability to create a culture of safety. The real risk to the continuity of most businesses is in the executive suite, not in the Earth's crust. All right, let's be fair. It isn't hard to understand why event-driven risks are more popular on the hit parade. Let's talk about flu pandemics. Let's talk about earthquakes. Let's talk about somebody with their hand in the data cookie jar. Let's talk about bombs walking in the door. Let's talk about buildings swaying. Let's talk about aliens, alien invasions. Now, these are disasters a fella can really get behind. They have obvious solutions. They've got data security, hand sanitizer, calling trees, metal detectors, bottled water, bug spray. These are easy. They're event-driven, they're visual, there have been thousands of movies about them to base our thoughts on, and they're logical. These are things we can wrap our heads around. Now, just to be sure we have context, let's take a few seconds to talk about what risk is. Well, risk is simply the potential for something to hurt us times the likelihood it will happen. So, how bad could it be? And what are the odds? Both elements can usually be managed. We evaluate them and we manage them. Our job is to figure out how to do business with tolerable risk. Do business with tolerable risk, not no risk. Now, here's some examples. Economic meltdown. Impact, high. Odds, medium. We've seen it happen reasonably frequently. Breadwinner of the family dies. Impact, very high to the family. Odds, medium. Here's an interesting point. Banks will always protect themselves on the house that you borrowed money on in case there's a fire. They don't care if the breadwinner dies because they get their money by selling the house. Think about life insurance for a minute. How about nuclear disaster? Impact, very high. Odds, very low. But the impact is so high, we go out of our way to protect ourselves. Litter box leaking. Hey, the impact of that, reasonably low. The odds, pretty darn high. But you know what? The protection is so simple. To put a plastic liner underneath it, we do it. Frozen pipes. Impact, somewhat medium. Odds, somewhat medium. Again, protection is simple and cheap, so we do it. Put a faucet protector on when the weather gets cold. And now we get down to it. Executive decision making. Impact high. Odds of a problem high. Mitigation, not that bad if you pay attention to it. So what are the indicators of high-risk behavior? Well, if you keep your eyes open, there are flags and signals you can pick up on as an executive or as a person working with executives. Some of them include inflexible date-driven releases. A year later, no one's going to remember you were 2 months late. A year later, everyone will remember if you lost a quarter of your business due to a bad release. Expense management failures. If you can't get your expenses under control, that's a high-risk behavior. Illogical mandates. Industry conferences where executives come back with a new software package to install. Secrets and missing transparency. If people won't talk, that's a problem. Inconsistent accountability. Do the executives have a different level of accountability than others? Parsing of words. Are you thinking too much about what you're saying? Half a story is a lie, just like a real lie. Avoiding public discussion, missing in action. Are you going to the lake every week? Executive negotiated contracts, disappearing objectives, a culture of agreement and not allowing resistance and disagreement, and bad business cases. These are your indicators. These are the things to watch for that are the shadows cast by high-risk behavior. Okay, Nelly, time out now. It's time for an important clarification, something we have to say. There's the unfortunate tendency to look for sound bites to manage by, so we need to be clear about this item. Risk management. Risk management is not a one or the other proposition. It would be irresponsible and indefensible to ignore event-driven risks. You can't do it. So here's the deal. What you must do is you must manage the risks around event-driven items as well. Data security, privacy, storms, earthquake, disease, all of those. And as well as behavioral risks. You must manage them both. Now, you can look to ISO, ITIL, IRM, experts that can help you out, but you have to do it. If you got it, great, do it. All right, but now we've got to ask ourselves the $64,000 question. If this is the major source of risk, why isn't it managed more? Now, the truth is, I don't know. But thank goodness I'm a consultant, because as such, I can hold opinions that are totally unburdened by the facts. So here are some thoughts. Some possible reasons are it isn't easy. There's a lack of hunger. There's a lack of awareness or knowledge. There's a minimal expectation of consequences. So what? Cause and effect is disconnected. I make this decision now, something happens a year from now. I might get away with it. Or, frankly, I just don't care. Okay, Slick, it's time for the bottom line. Here's the deal. If you are managing for catastrophic risks, technology risk, physical risks, but you are not managing for decision risk, behavior risks, operation risks, you are scraping the rust on the bottom of a ship that's in the middle of a typhoon. Remember, every day remember this. For every business killed by a catastrophe, 1,000 are killed by bad business decisions. So even if it's not easy, isn't it worth putting some energy into managing the risk around business decisions? If you are a leader, if you work with leaders, if you help them succeed, promise me you will think about this. This is important stuff. This has been Chris Kaufman with Agovia Consulting, Leadership Management, getting there from here. If you've made the decision to do what's necessary to succeed, we can help you find the path. We help you get there. We help you build your skills. Let's talk.